Never let anyone or anything define your value or limit your dream.
Hi, I'm Gloria Yeager, and welcome to Aerobic Self-Defense. It can save your life.
Striking the man in the groin as he attacks you from the rear. An elbow smash is used for a rear attack. Butting, used in aerobic self-defense, is to escape from a rear attack. When you butt, make sure that you keep your knees bent and you lean forward. It can also be done to the groin. As she swings her hips, this is used to escape both from a rear attack or a front attack, called slapping.
Slapping is used for front attack. And you could slap somebody in the ear, temple, eyes, nose, kidneys, groin.
Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more amazing, entertaining, delightful, great disciple content.
Tell me where the freak's at. Hold up. Hey.
Now it's time for Judge Joe Brown. He's the real deal in the courtroom today.
I agreed to watch her kids, and she didn't agree to pay.
She's trifling if she thinks I owe her anything. A busy mom, a frustrated babysitter, and some high-strung children. Student Amber Hampton is suing her neighbor for unpaid babysitting fees. Defendant Melinda Campbell says the plaintiff failed to watch her children properly. Now, here's Judge Joe Brown.
All right, so I've read this, and this troubles me because there's some things that are going on behind the scene that I'm going to touch on very lightly. But let's see. You can stand up. Come on over. Okay, you're in the military. This is your wife, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Tell me what the arrangement was that you had with the defendant here.
Well, I put up these flyers about a month after we moved there to just ask if anybody needed any temporary babysitting, because I was out of school temporarily, just took a semester off because we just moved there, and I was just trying to do something to make a little
you're
extra
in
money.
school as a student, and you're in, what are you, E5?
E5.
E5.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Sonia, get that for me, would you?
And I just put those up all over our complex. We live in a gated community, and with my number and stuff, so that people could contact me if they needed me, just for weekends if they wanted to go out with their spouse, or, I mean, like for her, I babysat her kids when they got out of school for a couple hours until she got off work.
Okay, let's say, need temporary babysitter? I can be of assistance. I'm a 22-year-old pre-nursing student and military wife. We just moved here and I'm taking a semester off from school. I have taken various first aid and nursing courses, etc., kind of, blah, blah. All right, you got a response. What kind of arrangement did you have with the defendant?
She told me that she just needed me to watch her kids after they got off the bus.
How many kids are we talking about?
Two.
Two. How old are they?
6 and 7.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
6 and 7. All right, tell me about what happens.
They would get off the bus and they would walk to my apartment, and sometimes I would meet them. She told me I didn't really need to meet them at the bus, that they knew their way. But a couple times I would be going down to check the mail or something, and they would be messing with the gate, or people would be stopping them in their cars because they were in the middle of the street. So
all the kids, I'm sorry, I have a problem with that, because they walked with other kids from the bus. So you never informed me of that either.
Excuse me. See, you weren't there. You don't know. You're making an assumption. Now, keep going.
Well, I gave it a couple days, just let them kind of see how they could do it. They knew where my apartment was, and they would come. And then I had to go check the mail. So when I very first started walking up there, they were messing with the gate.
What'd they tell you?
They started coming towards me. They listened to me that time. And I said, you guys know you can't do that. You'll get your fingers caught or whatever. It wasn't it was a big deal, but it wasn't enough for me to say,
no big deal. That's one
your
time.
Kids. Yeah. So
okay.
They listened to me, and that was fine. And after that happened, I just, every once in a while, I would just go down there and check on them. They wouldn't know that I was coming, just to see, make sure they were okay. And I would, like, hide behind the car and scare them, just have a little fun.
In other words, you're being watched. That my mother, uncle or two did that to me, like, don't think nobody's looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes, well, they were good little kids, but sometimes they would be in the street, and you'd have to tell them to get back on the sidewalk and stuff. That's not anything. I mean, I'm sure their mother knows that they don't always stay on the sidewalk like they're supposed to. They're little 6- and 7-year-old kids.
But she thinks they do.
Well, they don't.
No, I don't. I don't think that at all.
How many weeks did you keep her children?
I kept them for about maybe 4 or 5 weeks.
4 or 5 weeks.
Give or take a little, yeah.
Did you have any rules about the provision of lunch?
Yes. She was supposed to provide snacks because they would just get home from school, they would do their homework.
They're in elementary school.
Yes.
So what happens relative to these snacks and other things?
The first week that we had them, she supplied me with some, like, you know, little juiced cups and snacks and stuff that I could give them when they got out of school. And when I started running low, I'd tell her, you know, you need to get some juice, you need to get some of this, you need to get some of that. There were times when I told her and she waited 3 or 4 days, so they didn't have
But there was
any.
times when I got off work and I went to pick them up that I, you know, wanted to attend to them, and I didn't always have time to go to the store.
If she didn't have time, she could have gave me the money and I could have did it. I offered. Just give me $10. I'll
Okay,
give you some
keep
juice
going.
cups.
Tell me what you told me in your complaint.
There were times when I would tell her that we were running low, and she would wait 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, we
and I'll
got
bring
that.
them.
You said that.
Okay.
She said she was too busy. She just had things to... And then you
So-
said, well, she could have given me the money and I'd have dealt with it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the times that she didn't do it, I provided it for them. She said, "Oh, just give them water." They were at my house for 4 or 5 hours sometimes.
But
I'm
they
not just
drink
gonna
water
give
when
them
they're outside
water.
playing because it's hot outside.
What about snacks? What about food? You think your kids don't need food for
You
4 or
act like
5
I never
hours?
brought you anything, like they didn't have anything.
There
But there
were
were-
days that you didn't bring stuff. Days.
But she said
Days.
already she was too preoccupied
It wasn't like
and
I was
busy.
too preoccupied. It was like that by the time I got home, I'd fix them dinner, put them in bed. During my work time, I just did not have time during the day to go. It wasn't like I was just totally ignoring the situation.
Then why didn't you give me cash? I could.
You never asked me, Amber.
They're your kids. Why wouldn't you just give me the money and say, "Hey, I'm sorry. Can you maybe go to the commissary and get them something?" You didn't even ask
Because
me.
I did not want to take time out of your schedule. Because, you know, apparently that's
But you'll
the whole
take money
thing.
out of my pocket, but you won't take time out of my
But
schedule.
you won't watch my kids when we were supposed to. Half the time you didn't even know where they were at sometimes.
Are you serious?
Excuse
You don't
me,
know where your
excuse
own
me,
kids are
excuse
at.
me, excuse me. Therein lies the problem that starts developing. What did
Your
you...
job is to watch them. That's what I paid you for, to know where they were at when I was not home.
Here, let me ask you this. I said, I'm going to go to the park with them. No, you don't have to go to the,
The park
with
was
them.
right
They're
there. I
okay.
didn't want you to feel like you had to sit outside with them when they're old.
There's
they go to the
nowhere else
park.
for them to go. They either go on their bike or they go to the park. Now, you just said that I don't know where they're at, and I offered to go to the park
There
with
was
them.
times I come to your house and like, where they're like, oh, she's at a friend's house. Who? I don't know.
No, I would tell you the apartment number. Don't even.
You
I had
never
them
gave
write
me the
it down.
apartment number.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff in this case says she was new to her military base when the defendant took her up on an offer to babysit. She says it quickly became obvious the defendant's children were a little out of control. Let's listen in.
You say eventually when spring break rolled around, you got an inquiry from the defendant if you could reduce the fees to a flat rate. Is that right?
Yes, it is. She came to me, told me that she could not afford to pay the $10 per hour because I was going to have them for almost the entire week, for basically the entire day, from early in the morning to late at night. And she asked me if I could just come up with some kind of flat rate so that she could pay me.
All right. Now, your previous agreement was the rate for 2 children was $10 per hour. Is that
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you reduced it to was a flat rate of $250 for the week.
Yes, and it would have been $360.
And at that point in time, she was already, you say, in the hole for about $45. Spring break came and went. You continued to keep her kids, and she didn't give you any money. Is that right?
So wrong.
Exactly.
You
She
did not
told me
keep
that
them
she-
past spring break.
I didn't.
'Cause
I kept them
It
on
says right up
spring
there
break.
that you kept them for 3 days out of spring break. 3 days because I had to go on emergency leave. You kept them for 3 days.
3 days at 7-8 hours a day. Why don't you do the math?
But you're sitting there saying that you kept them after the fact. You did not keep them
I never
after
said-
that.
Where does it say that I kept them after spring break? I didn't keep them at all after spring break.
I was getting to the point of after spring break came and went, I kept her kids, and she didn't give me any money. Melinda promised to pay, but always found a way not to give me any money. Although I no longer keep her kids, her daughter showed up at my doorstep just last week.
You feel like I don't watch it. How dare you sit there and say, oh,
Melinda's
first
kids
of all,
are still running around our complex unsupervised.
wow, because I know where their friends are, and I know when they go to their friends.
I feel
and
sorry for them. Now, they showed
Really,
up...
my kids are that bad? You feel that bad for my kids? Like, they don't have...
Well,
they
no,
don't
hold
do?
on. We're getting into a point here
not
that
to
I
say
get
that.
a little disturbed
That's an
about.
opinion.
Excuse me.
not an opinion.
Excuse me. When did you last run in there?
Last time I saw Your Honor was about the first week of May.
And what was the problem?
One of her kids came in for something. I don't
They
really
had
know.
a head injury, right?
Yes,
How'd
Your
she
Honor.
get hurt?
She was playing in her room with her friends and she fell off her bed and hit the nightstand, the back of her head post.
Just what I put a note down. A fall is going to be said to be the cause of this
That's
problem.
exactly what happened, Your Honor.
You see the girl show up at your house last week.
Yep.
She informed me, said she came for like, what, sunscreen
So
or
what
something?
did she come over there for?
Exactly. I don't babysit her anymore, and she came over because her mother did not put sunscreen on her.
I didn't even...
And when she got to my house, first of all, it's summertime in North Carolina. It's about 90 degrees.
I know.
First of all, she was there with my
let's see.
mom.
Your mom wasn't with her?
Now, what I'm going to do to avoid embarrassment to your children and you is avoid getting into the rest of this about why your children, for 3 and 4 hours after they get out of elementary school, have been running around essentially unsupervised, be in places where you don't realize they are because you don't think they're there, and are starting to tell adults you can't tell me what to do. Now, you have a problem, and that fall fell off the bed, hit the head on the nightstand.
That's exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Now, something's preoccupying you. Your children responded to this discipline, order, and authority that was being provided for them. Your son from the plaintiff's husband here, who is a sergeant in the Army, and the plaintiff over here relative to your daughter. And just last week, she shows up, please give me some help. And where is Mama? And you've got a disaster. So let's get this together. You're owed your money.
Yes.
Like I said, there's some disturbing things behind the scene. Enough said, 405 in the court cost.
Thank you.